Hi, Michael Deteen here, and I want to welcome you to my beginner's guide to gongs. I see a lot of people on the internet, on Facebook, and a lot of people will write to me. I'm getting into sound work. I want to get a gong. What gong should I buy? Now, if you ask that question on Facebook, you will probably get 80 to 100 different answers. And they will just confuse the situation for you. People will tell you their favorite gong. Oh, buy this one because I have it and I love it. Buy that one because it does this, it does that. And everybody's well-meaning, but again, it just kind of confuses the issue, especially if you know nothing about gongs. So I'm here to give you an overview of the basic types of gongs and their sounds. Now, there's a lot of gongs out there. It's a big gong world, so I'm not going to do a comprehensive, tell you everything about every type of gong. But I want to cover the three major types of gongs. The first one would be the flat-faced gong with a bent rim on it. The second type would be the flat-faced gong that is in a bit of a lens shape. And the third type would be the gong with the boss or nipple or knob on it. Those are the three main types of gongs. There are other designs and other styles out there, but we're not going to talk about that because that will just, again, confuse the issue. My advice for a beginner, and I get asked this a lot, don't get so hung up on what you buy for your first gong. Think of it as your starter gong. Think back to when you got your first car, especially if you were a teenager or something. You didn't go out and buy a Ferrari or a Corvette or something like that right away. You just bought a car to get you to and from where you wanted to go. It was transportation. It fulfilled a basic need. It's the same thing with a gong. Just buy a gong. Think of it as your starter gong, and it will fulfill that need of getting you into gongs and into this whole sound work area. Now, I say that because you don't have to think of it as, this is my lifelong gong, I'm going to have it forever, it'll be my main gong all the time. I think too many people kind of get that idea in their head. So I want you to think of it as a starter gong. Now, you might keep it for the rest of your life. I still have all the first gongs I bought 50 years ago because I liked them and I kept them. But what you need to do is just get in the game. And what will happen is a number of things. One thing that will happen is you'll learn how to play it. A second thing is you'll learn how to listen to it. And a third thing is you'll learn what it does as far as the sound in the room, and if you play for other people, how they react to it. Now from there, again, think of your starter car. You were driving your first car and you're going, gee, I wish it had this. I wish it had that. I wish it had a better stereo. I wish it had bucket seats instead of a bench seat. I wish the design was like this. You came up with ideas, saved up your money, you bought a second car, got rid of your first car, bought your second car, which was more in line with what you wanted out of a car. But that's after you had the first one and drove it around and got to know it, and you're like, I don't have these features. The next car, I want these features. So think of it the same way with a gong. You get a gong and start with it, and from there you can hear things, learn to hear things, and say, I want a gong that makes more this type of sound or does this. And then you can more wisely choose either a second gong or a new gong to replace your first gong. Other things that are important to do. listen, listen, listen. If you have a chance, go to Gong sessions in your town. If they're available, if people are putting on sessions, go there. Listen to their instruments. Maybe take some notes and ask them about their gongs. If there's time, say, yeah, I'm interested. That gong, I really like the sound of it. What is it? How big is it? Ask some basic questions about it. Start building a knowledge base. And again, take notes. Have a little notebook or something. Take notes of the gongs that you like, but also the gongs that you aren't really attracted to. Write things down. And keep doing that for a while. Also go on the internet and listen to gong videos on YouTube. Oftentimes people will list the gongs they have. You can go on a lot of my videos and I will list the instruments I'm playing, or go anybody's videos and listen to it and see if you can figure out what the gong is that they're playing. If you hear one that's like, I like that sound, that intrigues my ear, that does something to me. Take notes. The best thing is if you have a store that you can go to. Maybe make a road trip to some place like the Memphis Gong Chamber or something. But if there is a store available that has a selection of gongs, meaning more than 3, that has some gongs that you can go and play in person, listen to, ask questions about, and again, take notes on them. I like this gong. I played this gong. It didn't really do anything for me. I like this size, that size, whatever. So take all that into account. Again, you want to build up a knowledge base so that you're just not ordering something that will do nothing for you. But get an idea of the type of gong and the type of sound you like. And then from there, you can purchase your first gong. Now, a lot of people will say, you got to get a 40-inch gong because the sound is great and wonderful and all that. But no, I wouldn't recommend buying a 40-inch gong for your first one. One thing is, they're very heavy. So if you are smaller, if you are diminutive, and you're trying to carry a big gong, well, that's not going to work so well. Another thing is they can be very expensive. I would recommend starting with something maybe between 24 and 32 inches in size. They're manageable to carry and move around, and they have a great sound. You can get smaller gongs, and I'll play some, but they don't have not just the volume, but they don't have the presence that a bigger gong will have. So again, I generally recommend 24 inches to about 32 inches. It's a good place to start. 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. Most gongs are in even inch sizes. If you find the right 22-inch gong, that can work too, and I'll play some of those. But those are things to take into consideration. The size in diameter and the weight, especially if you're going to move it around. Or if you have a real small space. If you have a small room, you don't want a 40-inch gong in a small room. It'll overpower the room and it will be a waste. It's like having a race car and you can only drive it up to 50 miles an hour. It's a waste. Because it's designed to go like 200 miles an hour, that's a waste. So you want to have things that are appropriate for the space you plan to put it in. And if you're going to move it at all, that you can move it by yourself. Okay, let's look at the gong types. The first type of gong I want to talk about is the Chao Gong, C-H-A-U. It's a Chinese gong. They've been making these for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it's probably the most recognized type of gong because it looks like a target or a bullseye. This is a Chao Gong. Now the thing about a Chao Gong, it has a flat face And it also has a bent rim here, which stiffens the whole gong and helps give it its sound. So let's hear that. This is a 24-inch chow. You can hear it has a very strong fundamental in the center and a bit of a rising sound. If I move out towards the edge, I get a little more crash. Like I said, this is a 24-inch chow. Chow gongs range in size from about 5 inches. I happen to have one here. Here's a 5-inch version of the chow, which has a very bell-like tone. So you can get chows from about 5 inches up until 56, 60 inches, somewhere in there, if the company will make one for you. So this is 24 inches. Here's a 22-inch chow. And you can see we get quite a range of sound. We get a very deep, focused fundamental note in the center. We get a very high, airy sound closer to the edge that doesn't have the deep bass tone. And if we play just off the center, we get a combination. So I'll play those three again. And the thing to know is that's with just one type of mallet. You can change your sound by changing your mallet. So if you have one gong and you have 5 different types of mallets, you've got a lot of different sounds. So it's not like you have to run out and buy a second gong because you only have a few sounds. Buy some other mallets. I'm going to play a smaller one just to give you a comparison. This is a 16-inch chow. Has a great sound. It's nice for a handheld gong. But as a primary gong, again, when you get smaller, you lose that presence. So I like to use smaller gongs like this as auxiliary gongs and handheld gongs. Let's look at the next type, and that would be what's known as the wind gong, also called a feng gong, F-E-N-G, or a lion gong. It's called the wind because it has this roaring sound like the wind, or a lion gong because it has a roaring sound like a lion. Very different character than the chow gong, which is a bit more focused. So we can compare. These are both 22-inch. Very different. Here's a smaller one. Here's a 16-inch. Very crashy, very brittle in the sound. Again, not great for a main gong because it doesn't have a lot of presence, but good for a handheld or an auxiliary gong to your other gongs. The third main type is what we call a bossed gong, and you can notice here it has a raised center. Also known as a boss, a cup, or a nipple. So commonly called a nipple gong, a bossed gong, or a cupped gong. And what this does is focus the sound. You play it on here and you get a very pure note. In fact, this one is tuned to E. Now, if we move out here, we'll bring in different tones. So this is an E. This is about an 18-inch. 18-inch. This is a Chinese bow gong. We can also have something like this, commonly known as a Tibetan gong, although it's not made in Tibet. It has all the Buddhist mantras and stuff on it. But here's another bossed gong. Very different sound than the wind gong or the chow gong. Now, the one thing with Chinese gongs is they will all vary. I could get 10 24-inch chow gongs, and I might have 10 completely different sounding gongs, or maybe I'll have 7 that are different and 3 that kind of sound similar. So if possible, if you can audition Chinese gongs in person, you can pick out what they are because they vary so widely. If not, you can go on various websites out there. I'll put some links below to places that I deal with, and they will often have videos of gongs that are the actual gong you can buy, so you can listen to it and get an idea that way. But like I said, as a beginner, don't worry so much about getting the perfect gong right away. Just get something to get you in the game. Listen to some gongs. You might go, oh, I kind of like that wind gong type of sound, that splashy thing. And you might hear somebody with a 28-inch wind gong and you go, that's really nice. I could carry that. It's got a nice sound, a nice presence. Just order one and then work with it. And as you play it, you go, yeah, this is okay. I like this, but yeah, I wish I had a bigger one so it had more bass, more bottom end. Then you could order a bigger gong and you go, well, I like this, but yeah, I think I would rather have a chow gong because it's got that other sound and it's a little more solid. But just get a gong. Get in the game. Play your gong all the time. Listen to other people playing their gongs. Listen to videos on the internet of people playing gongs. Compare your gong to those. Build up your knowledge base and develop your ear so that you can better know what sounds you really want. Because this is a crazy world, and I've just scratched the surface with 3 types of gongs. And there are so many different ones out there, and so many new types of gongs are being developed all the time. It can be very confusing. So let's look at one other style of gong that's very popular, and I'm sure you've seen before, and we'll talk about that and compare it to these here. Okay, let's talk about another type of gong that I'm sure you are all familiar with. Probably the most well-known name in gongs would be the Paiste gongs. Now, most of the Paiste gongs are a chow type design with a flat face, and they have that bent over edge or rim. And while they look similar to the Chinese chow gongs, they're very different in construction and material. As I said, the Chinese gongs are generally made out of bronze, a formula known as B20, which is 20% tin and 80% copper, commonly known as bell bronze because it has been used for ages to make bells, like all the giant church bells and things like that. It's a very musical bronze alloy. Now, the Paiste gongs are made out of what's known as nickel silver, which is a different copper alloy. Whereas the chow gongs are made out of bronze that is heated and poured into a disc, and then it's rolled and hammered and heated and stretched out to create the shape. The Paiste gongs are made out of a flat disc of sheet metal, and then they are hammered into shape. The sound is different. The Paistes tend to have more highs. They tend to play easier and open up easier, and I'm sure you're familiar with the sound. This is a 32-inch symphonic, probably the most popular Paiste gong size out there. A deep, resonant center tone. And then lots of highs to it. The Paiste symphonic gongs are available from 20 inches up to 80 inches in size. The other type that Paiste is most famous for are the planet gong series, tuned to the calculations of Swiss mathematician Hans Cousteau, tuned to the various orbits of the planets. This one is the Jupiter gong. And the main difference between a planet gong and a symphonic, although they look very similar, is the tone will be more focused and it will have less highs. It'll be more lows and mids. So if you could hear a difference, this one had more high-end shimmer. Again, this was a little more mids. So those are the two main gongs that Paiste makes. And there are other companies in Europe. This is known as a European style gong. There are now many other companies in Germany, where the Paiste gong factory is, in Germany, and a few other countries in Europe making nickel silver gongs. Very similar to these with some design differences. Most of those companies have been started by either ex-Paiste employees or even ex-employees of ex-Paiste employees. So there is a Paiste lineage stretching through almost all the nickel silver gongs being made in Europe. But it's a different style, a different sound. But again, just buy a gong, because it's confusing enough you could wait for years and years trying to figure out what to buy. Just buy a gong. Look at your budget, how much you can afford. Look at some of the websites. I'll put down below links to gong dealers that I personally know and have worked with. And go on their websites. Look at everything. Look at the prices, listen to the videos, and then find something that fits your budget, that you like the type of gong and the type of sound it makes. And just order one. I'm certainly not suggesting going out and spending $5,000 right away, but you could easily spend $500 to $1,500 or maybe more if you have a bigger budget in that range, and just get a really nice gong and work with it. Now, another good thing about gongs is the resale value tends to hold. So when you buy your first gong, it's not like, oh, I'm going to lose a lot of money when I'm done with it or move on to another gong. They tend to hold a good value, so don't worry about that. But just get in the game. Buy a gong. Learn all you can about it. Play it all the time. Develop your ear, develop your technique. Buy a variety of mallets to go with your gong and just keep working with it. And along the way, you will start to hear different sounds and then know what type of gong you would like to move into next, either as an additional gong or as a replacement gong. Okay, I hope this short overview has been a help. Like I said, there are hundreds of types of gongs out there now. There are so many people, one-man operations out there now making gongs. Not just the big corporations, but there's like all these one-man or one-woman operations making gongs. A wide variety to choose from. But don't get confused. Don't go on Facebook and get confused by everybody telling you their personal favorite gong to buy, because it might not work for you. Start your homework, listen to things, ask questions, find something that appeals to you, and then order one. And then work with it, learn it, and move on from there. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time we will look at bowls and bells, basic bowls and bells. Thanks.